This is Skoda Kodiaq with a Q at the end. It takes its name from an Alaskan brown bear. We are all familiar with grizzly bears, which compared to the Kodiaq, this time spelled with a K at the end, are like teddy bears. Kodiaq can be up to twice as heavy as the grizzly and can be much, much larger.
As its name suggests, Skoda Kodiaq is the biggest, costs less than the competition, from which it is larger. It can have equipment like on premium cars, from which it is larger. And you know what? If that was true, we'd all be driving Skodas.
There are cars of similar size to Kodiaq, with larger boots, longer wheelbase, longer body. They may have more equipment as standard. So, is the Kodiaq good or not? I have no clue. Watch this to make up your mind.
The 720-liter boot is comparable to a Volvo XC90, which happens to be around 10 grand more expensive, even from top-spec style Kodiaq. You can open and close the boot by swinging your foot under the bumper, which is convenient when your hands are full of shopping or luggage. Come on. And it never works on video. Really? Come on. There we go. I'm serious. I had this car for a week, and as soon as I start filming, this happens. Now, what am I supposed to do with this? Come on. Come on, Kodiaq. Oh, really? See? There. Now it works. Ta-da!
You can order double boot floor and levers to fold seats in the second row. You can also order a third row of seats. I like the hooks on rail business. There's even a torch. This car also gets a towing hitch and can tow up to 2.5 tons. There is enough legroom in the back to keep a suitcase between my legs and the front seat, or I can slide seats forward and still have more legroom than in some compact cars. Backrest split 40-20-40, there are cup holders in the armrest, door bins are huge. You also get optional third zone climate control and a 12-volt socket, which you can replace with a 220-volt one. In the front, the instrument cluster is simple and easy to read. The infotainment system with an 8-inch touchscreen starts predicting the address as soon as you start typing. That's a nice touch. Theoretically, you can also get live traffic updates and such, but to use Skoda Connect services, you first need to connect to a Wi-Fi hotspot broadcast by your phone. Alternatively, you could just buy a dedicated USB Wi-Fi dongle, and then you'd need more than one USB port, preferably concealed somewhere in the glove box or under the armrest. Speaking of which, there is some storage under the armrest, but it remains visible half the time. There were also supposed to be cup holders in here, but it seems they got lost along the way, and waiting time for replacement parts is long due to popularity of this car.
A minor annoyance is this gear lever. It looks money. Some combination of leather and shiny black elements, perhaps some stone or ceramic finish like in a BMW. No, it's just cheap plastic.
I'll go back to the infotainment system for a minute. It's got electronic voice amplification. I always wanted something like this in a bigger car. Around the city, usually everyone can hear everyone else, but on motorways, sometimes the driver needs to raise his or her voice to be heard in the back. I imagined a simple intercom. I speak into the mic in the front and my voice can be heard from the speakers in the rear, and vice versa. Simply elegant.
Unfortunately here, all voices are amplified at the same time through all the speakers, so let me demonstrate. I'm not sure if the mic is going to pick it up, but right now I'm turning the electronic voice amplification up to 10. Normally I wouldn't use it up to 10, like right now. I don't know if you can hear it, but I can hear my voice coming from the speakers. Anyway, under normal circumstances, I would probably use it at around 4 or 5, but that's still loud enough for me to hear my voice, the voice of my passenger next to me when we're talking, and interestingly enough, I can barely hear the amplified voice of people sitting in the back. So, let me just turn this thing off. So, the only scenario I can imagine that I would actually use this thing would be if I had, like, I don't know, 2 naughty kids in the 3rd row, and I would have to tell them to please be quiet and behave, children, and I would have to get my point across rather loud. So this is the only moment I would put it on, tell them to shut the hell up, and turn this thing off.
Behind the wheel, you feel this is a shamelessly large car. Kodiaq drives like an SUV. At crossings and on roundabouts, you have to turn the wheel a lot, which is understandable, especially since Kodiaq can go off-road, and then you need lower steering ratio to make steering easier.
Around town and on the motorway, Kodiaq is comfortable, visibility is good, steering is very light. There is adaptive cruise control and lane assist. The steering is so light, in fact, that lane assist every now and then asks me to take over steering, even though I'm actually holding the steering wheel. In my opinion, this is not a car for people who enjoy driving. Kodiaq is a car for people who have to get from A to B, and they have to carry a lot of kids and stuff.
There is a choice of 1.4 and 2-liter petrol engines with power output ranging from 125 to 180 horsepower. You can have the Kodiaq with front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Except for the least powerful petrol engine, all others come with DSG. There are also 2-liter diesels, 150 or 190 horsepower, again front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, manual or automatic.
This test car is powered by the range-topping 2-liter 190 horsepower diesel. It's got all-wheel drive. Now this engine propels the Kodiaq from 0 to 100 km per hour in 8.6 seconds and produces 400 Nm of torque. I have no idea how to convert that into pound-feet. I will have to learn one day. Anyway, Skoda promises combined fuel economy figure of just below 6 liters per 100 kilometers. I'd say 7 to 8 is more realistic.
In order to keep CO2 emissions in check, this engine takes AdBlue. The inlet is conveniently placed next to the fuel inlet, where it should be, not on the edge of the boot like in a Jaguar XF.
I like the door edge protector, at least that's what Ford calls it. Doors cover the sills, so you won't get your trousers dirty on a rainy day. And for a rainy day, there are also a couple of umbrellas in the front doors. Unfortunately, they don't pop out like in a Rolls-Royce, and there is no drying mechanism. So don't kid yourself. This is not as good as a roller.
Prices of the Kodiaq start at around €26,000, which sounds tempting until you realize it's a 125 horsepower front-wheel drive 1.4 TSI. But that's fine if all you need to do is shuttle kids to school and back. You may have to dish out additional €1,000 for the 3rd row of seats, but that's fine because it's probably the best deal in town. And what if you want a bit more from your Kodiaq? Well, then you'll have to spend a bit more. How much is a bit?
Whenever possible, I like to drive the car, get a feel for it before actually looking at the price list. This is what I did with the Kodiaq, and I assume this is a mid-level car with a couple of gizmos to make it look better. Nope. This is the top trim style version with the most powerful diesel, which costs around 40 grand. That's fine, until you realize there's 10 grand worth of options on it, and there's room for more. All of a sudden, it turns out the Kodiaq is up there with Land Rover Discovery Sport, which can also be a 7-seater, and BMW X3, which is not a small car either. So yes, objectively, you get a lot for your money. But subjectively, I don't even want to look at the Kodiaq.
And how do you like Skoda Kodiaq? Is it all you've ever dreamed of in a car, or rather a tool you need in your everyday life? Let me know in the comment section below. Subscribe, rate and share. Watch more of my reviews and join me for new episodes every Friday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.